Why do you think that we 57 Muslim countries, they lack this unity? What are the primary reasons for a consensus and, united action in this regard?
Thank you for having me on. So I think this can be discussed from many different perspectives. However, I think one of the key things we need to realize is going back to the ayah of the Quran where Allah says He does not change the condition of a people until they change what's within themselves. Now, the scholars mention that this is from a good state to a bad state, and fundamentally, and also the other way around. And I think we don't really focus on this. I mean, this you can look at this both ways. We can ask the question, well, why there's so many Muslim countries in the world? Why haven't they spoken out against the atrocities taking place in Palestine, etc., with the Uyghur Muslims prior to that, and in other places, parts of the world? Or we can also look at it from bottom up. We can also look at it from the perspective that, okay, how do we change ourselves? Because that has to happen as well. Also, in the words of Iqbal, who you mentioned earlier, he put a lot of focus on the development and the growth of the individual self as a Muslim, to find one's Muslim identity, to relate to that, to develop a relationship, a connection with Allah, which empowers the individual, the Muslim. And then that Muslim goes out into the world and creates change. So I think that needs to really happen as well. And I think we sometimes overlook this. Yes, mashallah, there's been some phenomenal activism taking place in the West, on social media. Even in Pakistan, I've seen some brilliant things. However, I think we have to also focus on that self-development and that relationship with Allah, and then to take that message to the other people. And, I think that's something that's lacking. We don't see Islam as a worldview. And I think that's key. Young Muslims, especially today, we just see Islam as a religion. Most people see Islam as just a religion, as a set of do's and don'ts. That's how we're taught Islam. But I think that shift in perspective needs to take place, that Islam is not just a religion, a set of practices, a set of do's and don'ts, but it's a worldview. It's a way of looking at reality and understanding reality. It shapes the way you function in this world. And until we don't do this, I don't think we're going to see, major change.
So how do you change that? If we see our youth today that is not inclined towards learning or study Islam, how do we change that?
Well, I think education is key. Like I said, when we learn about Islam, it's through our families and our upbringing. And in most cases, unfortunately, like I said, we are taught, do this, don't do this. You have to pray Jummah, you have to fast in Ramadan. These are all important aspects of Islam. But what Muslims aren't taught, especially young Muslims, is that Islam is a comprehensive system of
way
life.
Of life,
and it answers and it answers all the deep existential questions you have. Who are you? Where have you come from? What is your purpose? Where are you going? What are you doing on this planet? All of these things, Islam gives us the answers. It builds a comprehensive worldview. It gives us the underpinnings for living an ethical life, because we believe in Allah. So we have to teach Muslims this. Unless they understand Islam in this way, and they're educated in this way, that Islam is a comprehensive worldview, they won't appreciate it. Liberalism is seen as a worldview. Secularism is seen as a worldview. Modernism is a worldview. Atheism, feminism, naturalism, these are all seen as worldviews, that they supposedly answer questions for people. But in reality, they don't. Whereas Islam has the answers to all of the questions we have as human beings about life and about what we're doing here. But we're not taught about these things.